What's up, everybody? It's Reggie Holmes with Enthuse Creative back again for another edition of Friday Fire, our last one, in fact, for 2021. That's kind of sad, but we're glad that you've been along with us this journey. And my guest today is Mr. Cory Luckett, aka the fashionable man of the branded company. Cory, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Reggie. It's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, likewise. And so Cory and I are both in the branding and marketing world. And what we've kind of got planned today is our normal discussion talking about the entrepreneurial journey. But we also want to talk a little bit about what we've seen as far as branding and marketing here in 2021 and some things that you can look out for or that we foresee as trends coming up in 2022. So, with that in mind, if you're tuning in as part of our wonderful live audience, we want to encourage you to ask questions and comments on the different channels that we're on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn. So for any of the audience out there joining, feel free to chime in to our conversation. This is stuff that we do every day that we love to talk about, but we really want to hear from you. And we want to make this, like everything we do, something that can serve you as a consumer or as a business owner. So with that, we'll get into our conversation. Cory, you started your business in 2020. Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming the founder and CEO of the branded company.
Yeah, so it kind of spun out of passion and opportunity, to be honest with you. So I have my background is in product management and marketing, and I worked for Fortune 100 companies. I worked for startups, and most before I started the company, I was running the marketing department at a startup in McLean, and then I left that and decided like, what do I want to do next? Like, where do I want to take my skills, right, to be like LeBron.
Mhm.
And I started out being like going to be a contractor, and then it kind of naturally evolved to let's try to make this a full blown agency. Let's try to make this a thing. And with this, I had the support of my wife and my family behind me, and she was like, "Go, but if you're going to go all in, don't just dip your toe in it, just jump into the deep end." So then I started branding and officially launched it in January, actually of 2021. Started getting things together probably late last year, 2020, and then
Mhm.
officially launched the business January 20th of 2021. So coming up on 11 months.
Nice.
And then, my year is coming up.
Yeah. So, 1 year, a little less than 1 year officially in business. What has been like you anticipated, or what has been different about this journey of having your own business?
What has been anticipated, I think, is you reap what you sow, right?
Hmm.
So you have to get out there and hustle. And I knew that we were gonna have to get out there and hustle. I think what was surprising was I think off the jump, I wanted to be like, I started a business and you start just like going crazy and you gotta figure things out. And it's more
Hmm.
like it's a slow burn, right? And
Yeah.
it was kind of a humbling lesson to learn because I'm an immediate satisfaction type guy. Like if I have a gift card, I'm spending that gift card today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like burning a hole in my pocket. And so that same mindset was when I started the company, it was like, hey, I'm going to start something and we're going to hit the ground running. And it was like, we're going to start something and then have to continue market myself and market the
Yeah.
business and grow the brand and grow my own personal brand and blase blase until you get that first client and then second client and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, it's certainly, and another thing that I knew going in that is absolutely true is that I knew I was going to learn a lot
Yeah.
about me, about business, about marketing. And that's true. And that's probably one of my favorite parts is that you get to learn as you go through. And I
Right.
really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. For me as well, the learning aspect of it. Every day there's an opportunity to learn something new. People call themselves masters and experts, but the reality is, uh, anyone that you see having any type of success, they're always learning and they're continuing to add to what they know really well, to grow in that mastery. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. Um,
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the types of companies or entities that you serve with your company and its services.
Yeah, so I like to. I intentionally when I started. out in the beginning, like my background, as I mentioned, with with the various companies I've been with, has been a very wide range of industry, and I
Hmm.
like that. Like I didn't want to be in one kind of pigeonhole myself into one industry because I like, back to the learning thing, I like learning about all these different entities and industries.
Right.
So like I've been in beer and wine retail. I've been in
Hmm.
defense contracting. I've been in rideshare startup. And so I liked, when I started the company, was like, I want to, first of all, I know that marketing is industry agnostic. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you're a dentist or you are a branding agency, you need to market yourself, right? You need
Right.
to get your brand out there. You need to create a brand and you need to be able to market yourself. So that was one thing. And because I like being so wide, I have offered these services and created the company and the pillars of the company in such a way that we can offer these things to pretty much any
Hmm.
industry, B2B, B2C. I think where we have niched down is to the small and medium business, uh,
Hmm.
probably more so in the medium sized businesses, just because they are, they have a vision, they have a idea of what they want. They have an idea of what they want the agency to do. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you know this, being your agency. Like you've got the clients that hey, we help. We need help some branding. We need help with the
Yeah.
graphic. But here's our brand guide. Can you do something within it? And it makes life a lot easier. I mean,
Sure. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, when they have those types of materials in place and can hand them to you as a starting point, sort of as a compass to guide your work, it does make it much more easy to do the work and provide the solutions that they need because you sort of have that roadmap there. So I
right,
totally agree with you on that.
right.
Um,
And
so
to that
yeah.
point, right? It's nice that if you even go before that, right, with a
Hmm.
company that doesn't have those things, but if they're like, Reggie, we know we need this. Can you
Right.
create it for us?
Sure.
Makes life a lot
Yeah.
easier too, right there. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's a
mean,
key part of the process, and to what you said, those companies that are a little bit more mature have sort of figured that out. Oftentimes, when businesses are just starting out, um, they're sort of in go mode, and they want to produce whatever product or serve whatever service they have, and they haven't always taken that time and really put that attention on, let me build a brand strategically from the inside out, knowing that it makes it a lot easier down the road. It takes a little more time and more investment in the beginning, but it's worth it when you do start to grow because everybody in the organization will have that roadmap to build off of. So
yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
great point. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Um, so is there anything that you've encountered, in the last almost year of doing the business that is a maybe a direct tie-in to one of the other roles that you've held before? Like, speak to how, in one particular case, one of the things that you did before tied in directly to what you're doing now and allowed you to be more successful.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that come to mind.
Hmm.
One is kind of the management of projects.
Yeah.
One would be Another one would be just client communication,
Hmm.
and I think the last one, and maybe more narrow, would be social media. So
Yeah.
if I start at the beginning there, it is the management of projects. Like my background, like I mentioned to you, was in project management, but product management kind of more
Hmm.
recently. And there you have to be kind of the CEO of your little kingdom, like your little piece of the company's pie. And you need
Right.
to understand the strategy of where that product is going. You need to understand the requirements of what the customer wants, and you need to be able to execute with engineering or whatever team that you're working with. And that has served me very well with branded, because
Yeah.
not only are you that person for your client, but you're also that person for the company, and driving
Right.
the strategy and creating a roadmap, and then working with your client to try to help them navigate that same road. And then to the client facing thing, I love being client facing. I like having relationships. That's probably humbly my favorite part, and probably my best attribute, is being able to
Yeah.
create those relationships. And I really, probably because I naturally really enjoy it. Uh, I think that's probably pretty much it. I really like just like getting to know people. I like getting to know you and getting to
Yeah.
know my clients, and as like I can text them whenever I want to. I really like that. And then the last thing there, social media is probably, I have a blog,
Hmm.
and I've been doing it for a long time, and that kind of has led credibility to when I speak on social strategy or influencer marketing or whatever the case may be. It has allowed me to have some backup that I actually know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
which has been nice.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another to be able to show, a real example. So I definitely think that that is going to be advantageous to you, as it already has been in your business. And I'm glad that you mentioned relationships. So a few years back, I started to say I don't want to be in the pixel business. I'm in the people business, right? And so for me, that was sort of the point of understanding, like, yes, we deal with graphics and design and computer things and making things look beautiful, right? There's a
Hmm.
visual part of it that will always be a part of
Yeah,
branding and marketing and design. But a lot of this is really about relationships. It's about figuring out, from the brand standpoint, like what are your people all about? Like, what are you as an organization all about and wanting to convey to the world, right? That's a
a great
people
point.
thing.
Great point.
And then with the customers, what do they need? What do they need? What do they want? Tailoring everything that we put out about your products or services to how it meets the needs of your customers. And so that's a people issue, right? That's a relationship thing. And so um, just to what you said, it made sense to me at that point that a lot of this comes down to relationships and even what we do as far as trying to get clients, right? It's relationships. Sometimes people want to work with the person that they vibe with the best. Like that's what it comes down to. And
Yeah,
so it's all about how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, the relationships that you're able to build and maintain. So it plays into like every level of what we do, not just on the creative side, but just on the relational side. And I think of branding that way in a lot of ways. It's not the nuts and bolts per se. It's all about people, how well you understand people, and how well you can present your product and your service like as a solution to those people's problems. So
I couldn't agree with you more. I think from a relationship perspective, it's probably why I also can kind of conceptualize some of the marketing and branding things, is because,
yeah.
yeah, it helps with client relations, like getting new clients and growing the business, because it's, people buy from people, which I also
Yeah.
tell, like at the end of the day, like people are going to hire Enthuse Creative. They know that you do good work, but that's because they have a good relationship with Reggie, and they're going
Right.
to hire Branded because they've got a good relationship with me. But then
Yeah.
on the flip side, like if you think about it tactically, exactly to your point, which is, you probably say this every day, is like, okay, who's your target audience, right?
Yeah.
Well, what does that target audience think? For
Yeah.
example, we just created an ad for to be inside of a melanoma foundation magazine. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, from a high level, let's figure out the people that are actually reading this magazine, and
Right.
what do they want to see and what resonates with them. Let's tailor that ad to those people, right? It's not,
Right.
and then obviously be on brand with messaging and color scheme and all that.
Yeah.
But from a relationship perspective, you are talking to that specific audience.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, man, it helps all around.
Yeah. For sure. um so let's transition a little bit into this conversation about branding and marketing and what is the branded brand, in maybe 3 words. How would you describe what your company's brand is all about?
I think it's a very good question. If I had to think about what our brand was in 3 words, off the top, I think fun.
Hmm.
I think relevant, and I think experienced, would
Awesome.
be the three adjectives or words I would say for our brand.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned your blog and what you've done with your personal brand, and I've started to delve into that a little bit. Just share with people how important this idea of personal brand is, because I feel like in the last few years that's become even more important than it was in the past. And if you look at a lot of statistics, people don't really trust big businesses, right? We see security breaches, we see shady corporate things happening. So the level of trust in like government and institutions and even big business in a lot of cases is not really there, but people trust people, and so that makes personal brand really important. But just talk about how important that's been for you. You mentioned on the social media side, but just in any other ways, how important has that been for you as you've been trying to grow your business?
Yeah, I think it's super important because you get to know. I mean, at the end of the day, your personal brand is you, right? So you
Hmm.
can't get it wrong, right?
Right.
So it's whatever resonates with you as a person.
Yeah.
So I, from a, I think I'm also those three adjectives that I just mentioned to for branded, and that's probably
Hmm.
the reason why brand is the way that it is because
Right.
it emulates from me. But I think it's super important, and it's pretty much important for everybody, and really depends on where you want to go. From an entrepreneur perspective, a good example is maybe Elon Musk and Tesla. Like I
Hmm.
go to social media right now, I guarantee you Elon Musk has 5 times more followers than Tesla, right? And but that
Yeah.
he's talking about whatever he's talking about, and people resonate with him. And at the
Hmm.
end of the day, they also resonate with what he's saying, and they know that he's associated with Tesla, and they know that Tesla is that his brand, and so
Yeah.
it's SpaceX, etc. Right?
Right.
So, I mean, knowing if you want to promote your personal brand, if that's something that's like on your agenda that you want to do, it is super
Hmm.
important. And it's not I mean, there's certainly nice steps to take in order to grow your personal brand in a
Hmm.
right strategic way. But at the end of the day, like you have to know that you can't get it wrong because it's what is going
Right.
naturally to you. And that's what I tell people all the time is like, yes, there's things that you can do to start getting your personal brand and your name and your face out there more. And
Yeah.
there's a way to do that. But at the end of the day, in order to think about, okay, what is my brand? Well, what resonates with you? Like Reggie is creative. He's obviously passionate about education because he's educating people right now in this live video. So like that's your brand. I mean, not
Yeah.
putting words in your mouth, but like from an outside perspective, like
Yeah.
that's what I see.
Sure. Yeah, and that's on the money, right? So I appreciate you saying that, and a lot of people um they're a little bit hesitant because they feel like, man, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be super polished and pristine. And I think what you're saying is just put your authentic self out there. That you don't have to be this finished product. You can be a work in progress. What's important is that you are yourself,
Yep.
and that you're putting yourself out there for people to be able to understand and connect with. Like, people want to connect, and
Yep.
if they don't know you exist, it's hard for them to do that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that for anybody out there that's thinking about personal brands. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, that word authentic gets thrown around a lot, right? But
Sure.
from people wanting it to be perfect, to your point, first of all, people don't care necessarily, especially when it comes to personal brand, right? They don't
Hmm.
care about perfection. They care about viewing your journey. Like people
Right.
are invested in seeing your journey, and they want to see you as in the proverbial you that's creating your
Yeah.
personal brand. They care about the journey. They care about the things that you're doing that resonate with them and that are on brand with that or whatever your personal brand is. And
Yeah.
to kind of quote Gary Vee, he always says, and something that I tell clients all the time is document, don't create. So you don't have to create something that's perfectly perfect from a personal brand perspective, but you
Right.
can document what you're doing, how you're doing it, and people care about that.
Yeah, for sure. And I like to say, personal brand should be people driven, not ego driven. If your focus is on adding value, helping others by documenting, then it feels less like I've got to create something. Sometimes that
Right.
looks like curation and
Sure.
not creation, right?
Right.
Sometimes you're just like, hey, I'm interested in this topic. I found other people that are great at it. Let me elevate them. And so you're sort of seen in a different light not because you're the one doing all the creating, but you're just making things accessible to people by curating, others that are in the space. So that's an approach that works really well. Also, like, don't feel like I've got to be, producing a rack of content all the time. Like, there's a lot of pressure in that, but sometimes that means commenting, getting engaged in conversations that are already taking place in the market
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
adding value that way,
Absolutely.
and just raising the profile of others who are already active out in the space and giving them a larger platform. So there's a couple of different ways to do it, and I do think that desire to always want to be perfect can be a thing that holds people back. So I'm glad you shared everything that you did.
Yeah.
And so this year, what did you see really becoming something that people should note as far as branding and marketing? Like, what sort of took off for you that people should be aware of?
I think that, I mean, there's a couple things that come to mind, right? First is from a marketing and branding perspective, being socially conscious and aware
Hmm.
is has been and will continue to be very important.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, from both your personal brand as well as a corporate brand, right? Being
yeah,
able to talk about the social awareness and your stance on various things.
hmm,
I think that creating content from, and what I've seen a lot this year, and I think it's also going to happen going forward, is using user generated content as
hmm,
ad and marketing material.
yeah,
I mean, first of all, it lends credibility and realness to your brand. But
right,
we've seen that a lot. We've seen this a lot in ads and marketing. That this year is, and I bet you we're going to see it at the Super Bowl, which is
hmm,
commercials and ads on social media, which are taken in the perspective of a user.
right,
So and doesn't have to be someone that's associated with the company. It seems as though it's just
sure,
some random Joe Schmo who's using the product, and they're using it in a point of view where the camera's kind of facing down,
hmm,
and you're resonating with that video because it's like, oh my gosh, this is what it would look like to use this product, or this
right,
person who sounds real on the other end is telling me about this. So I think user generated content was a big thing. Let me think, what else was there? Um, Oh, and then you hit my or jog something in my memory, which was education. I think
hmm,
that this platform, your Friday Fire. I think that a lot of others have been going down this, and I think it's great because I think it adds a lot of value, which is
yeah,
educating the audience, educating people on whatever your kind of niche is in whatever industry you have. So let's say you're a lawyer, a lot of content is around educating about whatever type of law you have, or
yeah,
around branding, around educating what's the best practices to do around branding. So I think
hmm,
education has been a really big thing this last year as well.
yeah. I agree. I think both of those will definitely continue to play a big role. Um, I noticed a lot more people getting involved in podcasting and live streaming, um, because the nature of sort of how we take in things is different. I know this year I went to a lot of webinars and workshops that were just virtual, right? And I think we'll get back to more hybrid type of events where there's a live component and then a live stream or virtual component. But
Yep.
a lot of these events I was only interested in because I knew that there would be a replay and I could watch it again at my own leisure. And
Right.
so I think that creating content that's on demand, whether it's live stream and there's a replay later, I think that will continue to take off and be something that's really popular because it's presenting the entertainment or the education, and it's there for people to consume when they have time. I think it's a nod to the fact that our schedules are a little bit wonky, and we're still figuring out things as we go through this period, but it's just making resources available for people when they want to consume it. And
Yep.
if we think about our entertainment, that's how we that's how we consume our TV shows, right? Or a movie. Like I don't have to just watch it when it's on at a certain
Right.
time.
You can go
I
back.
can record it, I can pause it, I can look at it on my device. I can look at it on, the big TV. And so just making that content available in a number of ways for people to consume in the way that makes the most sense for them is a smart strategy as you're thinking about entertaining or educating. So I think we'll continue to see that also. Um,
From a branding perspective, Reggie, do you have you seen over the last year in 2021 something that kind of jumps out to you on, you know, either something that we should be paying attention to or something that has kind of resonated or come up since 2022, maybe even around, if I narrow that down, because branding is obviously large, maybe like around voice, brand voice.
yeah, so great question. I think that yeah, people are looking for, a signature. So there's kind of two ways to think about brand voice. One is brand voice as it's connected to our personality, like the way that we show up and what people can expect from anything that we produce as far as content. So I think that people are looking for that signature style or presentation of content,
Yeah,
and people are now figuring out ways to carry that through all the different types of media that are out there. So maybe you would in the past just write your blogs in a certain style with a particular voice that was on brand for you. Well, maybe now you're doing podcasts or you're doing videos. And so how do you ensure that the same voice is consistent in whatever type of media you're putting out um now, so I think that's important. And there's the so the idea of audio as voice is another thing that we have to think about, because now people may only hear about you, in a an ad that they hear, like an audio ad, or on a speaker device or something like that. And so having that brand, having a signature sound, not just in terms of what they hear, but the tone of voice and the language and the style there.
yeah,
Just making that style consistent. There's a lot more different types of media that people need to account for, but I think that is one of the things that people are going to be known for even more. Like, it's not just the logo, right? Like, it used to be, well, I know that brand by the visual logo. I think that will continue to be important, but there's a signature, maybe catchphrase, or just a style that is presented in a voice style that is presented in a personality. I think that's going to be what people are um, are going to be drawn to. If we think about some of the most popular podcasters or shows out there, there's a certain brand voice and style that
yeah,
comes through that people expect, and so that's what they're going to be known for, maybe more than the way it looks, right? There's some people
absolutely.
that you might have a relationship with that you've never really actually seen. Like, I don't know what this person looks like, but let's say you listen to their podcast all the time, right? You don't really know how the visual branding goes, but you are very much attuned to like what they say and how they say it. And so I think
Absolutely.
that that's something that people should continue to look out for. That's going to be important.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you're spot on.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what's gonna make people feel connected, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. It's
Yeah.
um because there's multiple places to get information. Whether it's branding, marketing, or any subject area. There's a lot of places to get it, but the one that you're gonna go back to is the one that like makes sense to you, that you can
Resonate.
understand, and
Yeah.
that's communicated in a style that you like,
Yeah.
right?
It hits
That
you
that
somewhere.
speaks to you. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It hits
So
you and it resonates with you for a reason.
right,
And that's why you go back to that podcast because of the contents in it, but also the way
right.
that that podcaster speaks and the way they articulate their thoughts or whatever the case
Yeah,
may be. It's like, oh, yeah, I care about this because, yeah, I could hear the same exact thing, but coming from a different person with a different tone.
right. Right.
Not necessarily inflection in voice, but like maybe back to I keep on thinking about like fun. If it sounds fun and
Sure.
make it fun, like you
Yeah.
want to be a part of that. So I absolutely
Yeah. I mean, if we think about like other contexts in life, it makes sense. You know, like you had teachers that were great teachers, right? Clearly, they knew what they were talking about, but the teachers that you probably learned the most from was the one who was able to make whatever the subject was like clear and present it in a way that like resonated with you. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's the same with any type of business or marketing or branding. It's putting it in a way that, again, it goes back to like knowing your audience, right? You know what your audience values, you know what how they think, what makes sense to them, and you're able to take this message and bring it to them in a way that they're going to accept and appreciate. um, that is the core of great marketing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so thinking about 2022, you know, the year coming up, what are some things that you think that people should look out for that you think are going to be particularly popular, you know, as far as the branding and marketing world?
So kind of to continue on the thread that or something similar that we're talking about is
Hmm.
creating a community. I
Hmm.
think that that's going to be huge going forward. I think it already is big, and I think that people that have mastered that skill or have honed in on the kind of accepting that have done really well in the
Yeah.
past. And I think going forward, it's going to be even bigger. Is creating a community around whatever the topic of, if I'm thinking of it of a, it could be either personal or professional, but let's just say, let's
Hmm.
go down the professional route for a second. I think creating a community around whatever you do in your industry, if
Yeah.
you can do that, I think it'll pay dividends beyond what you can imagine. Not just like financially, like I could get more clients from it, or I can get more customers or more users, or
Hmm.
whatever your end goal is, but you're also being able to create fans and raving fans about whatever you're talking on, whatever your community is about. And
Yeah.
that kind of, permeates throughout kind of society or whatever platform you're on or whatever.
Yeah.
To that point, where my mind goes is something else that's going, I think, going to be, we're at the tip of the iceberg. We're going to get deeper into the tip of the iceberg in 2022, but we're definitely not going to get all the way through it, which is crypto, metaverse, uh,
Hmm.
Web3. I think that this is a NFTs. I think to a lot of people, these acronyms or these things, they don't mean much to them, or they're like, oh, that's going to go away. In my
Yeah.
humble opinion, I don't think it's going away. I think the
Yeah.
community is too strong around those things. I think that there's a lot of startups as are happening right now that are going to expand this world, for
Hmm.
lack of a better term. And I think that a lot of things, a lot of products, a lot of experiences, a lot of the way you buy, what you buy, are going to be in that crypto metaverse world. And a lot of people
Yeah.
don't necessarily know what that means yet, but I think that in 2022, we're going to learn more and more about it. And I don't think it's going away. Um,
Yeah. I
uh,
agree with you.
Something else I think is going to maybe towards both of those things is video. If I think about it from a tactical perspective,
Hmm.
I think video's king. What we're on right now is video, but you can also listen to
Yeah.
it. But I think like video, when you do ads, when you do content for your personal brand, when I think you put on a website, the first thing you should see, I think video is going to be and will continue to be king. Uh,
Yeah.
so going into 2022, there's a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, and a few things that you hit on, I totally agree with everything. I think this idea of video and showing and not just telling is going to continue to be really important. You know, because video allows you to show and as opposed to other formats where it's just telling, and so people want the experience. And so I think businesses that brands that emphasize experience are ahead of those that don't, and video allows you to capture more of the experience and just add another level, another layer of painting that picture of what it's like to work with your company or to experience the transformation that your company can help this person experience in their life. And so I think that that's really valuable. And video is probably the best way to showcase that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the metaverse, we'll have some other way that combines video and some, some other experiential thing. But until we're there, and that's mainstream, video is absolutely one of the best ways to show people your value,
Yeah.
as opposed to just tell them. And I think one thing that I was thinking about as we got ready for this conversation is just the idea of having that connection to your audience that transcends any particular platform. We had that one day where all the different platforms were down, and people were freaking out, like, oh, what's happening, with the different social media channels. And that just sort of was one incident, but that underscored the importance of knowing where your audience is, and then being able to connect with them in a platform that you own, that you control, right?
Yeah.
So websites are important, and I think people are understanding that websites are not just about having your content there, but it's really about starting and following through with conversations, having content that engages people, and making it easy for them to reach out and connect and continue, or start these conversations, about you and about your services. So
Yeah.
I think that, the way we think about websites is changing, and I think more people will get on that wave and sort of understand, like, okay, it's not enough to just kind of set it and forget it. Like, hey, we've got our stuff out there, and people can click through and read it, and maybe click a link here or there. Like, it's a destination. Like, you need to think of it as a place,
Yep.
and build it such that it's a place that people can explore, but easily find the information that's relevant for them, and then be able to talk to someone, right? It's not just an empty storefront. It's got to be like there's a person there that can answer questions, that can walk me through the store, that can explain, go find something in the back that I really want to, I saw in the catalog, I want to know if you have it in stock. Like, think of it as an experience, as
Yeah.
opposed to just something that is just kind of out there, and sits there, collecting dust. So
Yeah.
I think that we'll see those things happen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, for the websites that we do, a big thing that I talk to my clients about and talk to, kind of back to that project management thing, is I harp on creating an experience when you're
Hmm.
on the website that makes it easy for the user. Because at the end of the day, like, someone's coming, they don't, not everyone goes to a website to buy something, right? So they're going there
Right.
to do something, right? So
Yeah.
creating the experience for them to do whatever they're going to do the easiest way. So if that's them to find information, it's some place where you could go and house that community that we talked about earlier. It could
Hmm.
be to go learn about something, right? And making that experience that easy and fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And back
Yeah.
to the video thing, I think something that we mentioned earlier, which was, document, not create,
Hmm.
and to your, and not being, have to be like super professional with it. I think
Yeah.
that when we think about going forward, and it's like, and maybe anyone that's going to listen to this, us talk in the future, or listening and watching right now, is that maybe they're thinking, okay, well, how in the world do I do this video? Like, how do I have to hire someone? How
Hmm.
much is it going to cost? At the end of the day, like, you can, excuse me, you can just take your phone, right, and
Yeah.
just talk to your video. Talk right here. You have, everyone's got a phone, right? And
Yeah.
everyone's got a camera on their phone. Turn around in selfie mode. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get confident on being, it might feel weird talking to your phone and talking, like, especially in public.
Yeah.
But that is a path of least resistance, is you have it right here. Talk to your
Yeah.
phone, tell the audience about something that's coming up, about your product, and then post that thing on your website, on your social media pages, and there's your video.
Yeah. There you go. Practical tips. We love practical tips. Um, so we're gonna get you out of here soon. This has been a great conversation. Wish we could continue, but it's Friday afternoon. We want to let you go and be able to enjoy your weekend. Um, Cory, what is the one thing that you're personally most excited about as it relates to branding and marketing? Either in your business or just kind of in general.
I think what I'm excited about is exploring and being able to produce creative things everywhere. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is that video that I just mentioned to you, if it's going to be designs, if it's going to be a website with a fun experience, if it's creating a community and showing up for that community and then making it fun for them in
Hmm.
some way, creating a fun and creative way to talk to to your audience. I think I'm really looking forward to, from my own personal self, from
Yeah.
my blog, my business, me as a person. I'm really excited to do kind of explore all of those. I'm already having some conversations with people for next year of kind of doing those things myself.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of flex and exercise that creative muscle uh, coming up.
That's awesome. Well, we look forward to following the journey and being able to see you and Branded continue to grow. Thanks so much for being with us. This was great and a really great way to sort of end the year. I think one thing that I'll say is just what we're doing right now, right? Collaboration. The era of hyper competition is I really don't feel that, right? I feel like um people have been scattered a little bit by all the pandemic stuff, but we're understanding that like we're better together, and people are figuring out what that looks like. But there's lots of opportunities being created for mashups and people teaming together and creating partnerships that didn't exist before. So I'm really excited to see what sort of partnerships and teams and things like that that happen in 2022, whether it's brands coming together that you didn't think would ever link up, or creatives working together to create something new in these interesting places that we never thought of before. So it's all going to be really exciting, and I'm glad that you and I were able to get together today and have this conversation.
Yeah, likewise, man. I really appreciate you inviting me to chat, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think that less competition, more friends, more love, more hanging out, and I'm excited. So thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it,
No
Reggie.
doubt, no doubt. So let people know before we break out, where they can find you, how they can learn more about Branded.
Appreciate that. So all of our social media is thebranded.company. And that's also our website, thebranded.company. So I'm always there. I'm the one who runs our social. So I'm always there. You slide in the DMs, you can go on our website and email me at Cory@thebranded.company. So everything thebranded.company, I'm there.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you to our audience again. We wouldn't be able to do this. We did 10 episodes this fall, and are super excited to bring Friday Fire back sometime in the spring. We'll have a whole new theme, a whole new look and feel, but it'll still be that same quality content that you've come to expect. But we'll let you all get out of here. Peace. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.